lot of stuff being poured into the mix, and frantic scribblings of we'll have a triangle there, we'll have a square there, and we'll have 4 players in there, we'll have this in there, we'll have a patio door at the end and a nice little barbecue out the back. And actually was interested in just observing the process that they went through throughout their session. I have a different process, which I shared. So I would summarise the process that I observed yesterday. We add stuff in. My process starts with the 22 players on the pitch in the formation that is the scenario, and then I will subtract players in order that whatever practice I end up with maintains integrity to the game. So my first point there, so our scenario was, we're the Reds, we play, from this end, we're playing up the tax board, we play a 1-4-3-3. We're playing against a 1-4-4-2. So that's my starting point. We're focusing on our midfield three being able to combine and play with our strikers. So the first thing is, in terms of my process, start with 22, take players off rather than add them on. And the second part of the process is go from primary to secondary to tertiary. So so our primary players are our midfielders. So we've got 3 of us, 4 of them. So our primary area is here. So we start in there. Our secondary area, because we're trying to attack, is in here. Our tertiary area is in here. So you start with the process of the goalkeeper is a unit in their own right, and we'll be looking at full unit versus full unit versus full unit, some others to make up the numbers, unless you've got 22 players and you're doing 11v11. But chances are you may not have 22 players, and the other aspect is 11v11 comes at the end of your A licence, so it's not something you'd necessarily want to practice as part of your B licence project, though you might. Okay? So if I've now got 9 players, my starting point is based in here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can only have 2 more. And those 2 more are going to come from here. So I might decide I'm going to get rid of those. I'm going to get rid of those. Oh, and I need a striker to play into, and if they're going to have a defender against them, I might get rid of those. That lacks a bit of integrity. So instead, what I might do is think about, let's get rid of those, and let's bring in those. So now it lacks a little bit of integrity in here. Yeah? So you just go through the process of step by step, and a justification for why do I want it to look like that? What's the trade-off? Because a key part of your level 3 skill set is justification. So really, have we thought about the benefits of having a goalkeeper in 1v1? Yeah, we have. But the experience on match day will probably be this one will be outnumbered. We can have 3v2 in here if we want, and I haven't counted the numbers, I might have the numbers wrong. But on match day, they will have that. The other aspect is if you take away the players, take away the space that they occupy. So how many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Did I get that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's a lack of integrity in the midfield now, which is my key thing. My justification might be, where they're at in their stage of development, I want them to get lots of success. But I have to acknowledge the drawback of that. So I could pop him there, get rid of all of those. And you can just play in and you can bounce off, but you can support it. So what I now have is a bigger challenge for these 3. But what I lose is the ability for this one to drive with the ball. So I'm narrowing down their decision-making process. So knowing your players, knowing we're out in the learning cycle, you must make decisions based around that stuff, which goes back to your level 1 stuff around step principle, space, task, equipment, players. If I do that, I'm going to get more of this. But I'll give up some of this. It's not right or wrong, it's just what's most effective for you and your players at that stage of the block of work. Does that make sense? Yeah? So think about balanced perspective. The other thing we might want to attack is by these lot actually counter-attacking, because there might be the danger that if we overload them here, they'll just sit there all day. So then you might start thinking about moments of transition, which is good for us, because we might get opportunities to exploit, but we also have to have a defence responsibility. Good for them, because they now get a bit of motivation. So do we put a goal in here? Do we make this player a target player and a server? Where'd you go with it? You don't have to have a goalkeeper and 2 defenders, so you could detract from here as well. But what's key is not whether you go that way or this way or the other way. What's key for your development to demonstrate competence and the process is that you've considered the options and you've come to a conclusion that has a logical base to it. It might be a different conclusion to I would come to. But if you can justify it, fine and dandy. Because what we'd ideally like is you'd try arrange them over a period of time. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So, subtract rather than add to maintain integrity to the game. Think about primary unit, secondary unit, and then tertiary units, which is the recycling, the out ball, and then the practice, the music just goes round again. Think about, if I take the player out, I should think about taking the space out that that player occupies, whether it's funneled, whether it's owned, whether it's just taken out. Yeah? And the final aspect there is some kind of justification as to why I'm doing that. And what your starting point is 4 unit versus 4 unit, 4 unit versus 4 unit, and then the periphery, the tertiary unit is just making up the numbers to the best intent you can. You might end up in a situation where this is the coach one evening. So if you have a process that could be that, you can nick it, you could adapt it, you could come up with your own, you should never be stymied by, oh, I thought I was getting 15 and I've only got 9. I thought I was getting 11 and now I've got 14 turn up. Because you just use the process to add into, assuming you've got enough space to do so. Does that make sense? Yeah. You shouldn't also be stymied massively by, I've started with 12 and now one's got injured and another one's got to go to the dentist.